What can you tell us about the timing of your order on the Fulton DA disqualification issue?
So I made a promise to everybody. These kind of orders take time to write. I need to make sure I say exactly what I want to, and I plan to stick to the timeline I gave everyone.
So this week?
Should be out tomorrow.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Miss Fani Willis, who we're going to see very soon, within the next 24 hours or so. Again, this video is as of 10:45 p.m. on Thursday night, March 14th. The next day, we're going to see if Judge McAfee is going to remove her from this RICO case against Trump. Now, again, you know, I hope that it happens, right? But I don't want to get too excited because for us conservatives, the people on the right side of the aisle, things don't typically go our way when it comes to these types of situations. Democrats seem to be able to get away with their crimes and their misdeeds. Like, for example, Joe Biden, when it came to the classified document case, he's getting away. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with Republicans and their attempt to impeach Joe Biden. Seems like they're kind of struggling with that. Again, Democrats are never held accountable, okay? They always seem to get away. I mean, look at Bob Menendez, okay? They haven't done anything about him. They kicked out their own guy, George Santos, and he hasn't been convicted of anything. But Bob Menendez, he's allowed to stay. So, I don't know, man. I'm not going to get my hopes up because, quite honestly, the Republican Party hasn't inspired much hope that they actually are concerned about holding corrupt Democrats accountable. But there seems to be some sign of hope when it comes to Miss Fani Willis, okay? Because things seem to be falling apart, okay? The walls seem to be closing in on her because even if Judge McAfee decides to essentially let her off, she's still facing some other issues. And again, he could decide to let her off because he doesn't want to be accused of racism and stuff like that. And I think he's also up for re-election and all types of other stuff. If he actually really did remove her, they're going to come after this guy, right? They're going to come after him hard, okay? They are going to say that he's a white supremacist, he's a Klansman, right? He's the grand cyclops of, you know, the KKK. They gonna say all types of stuff, okay? They gonna come out the woodwork on this guy, right? So who knows if he actually has these stones to do the right thing? I mean, this woman clearly and obviously lied, okay, to the court, and she honestly should be arrested and charged with perjury. But anyways, yeah, it seems like Republicans, at the very least, are attempting to do something about her, okay? So even if he lets her off, her worries are not over, okay? Because Brian Kemp just signed a law that allows for the removal of rogue and corrupt, soft-on-crime DAs in Georgia. Take a look.
Today, I'll gladly sign SB 332 into law, finishing an important process that we started last year with SB 92. This legislation will help us ensure rogue or incompetent prosecutors are held accountable if they refuse to uphold the law. As we know all too well, crime has been on the rise across the country, and it's especially prevalent in cities where prosecutors are giving criminals a free pass or failing to put them behind bars due to lack of professional conduct. When out-of-touch prosecutors put politics over public safety, the community suffers and people and property are put at risk. Today we are renewing our commitment that we won't forfeit public safety for prosecutors who let criminals off the hook. Georgians deserve better, and they deserve to feel safe in their own communities.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Kemp is trying to, I believe, save face because I think that he embarrassed himself by choosing not to investigate Fani Willis and to go after Fani Willis when she first brought these charges against Trump, which is something I was demanding. I was like, yo, you should investigate this woman, okay? She's obviously clearly corrupt and dirty, right? I mean, you should go after her. And Kemp said, no, we're not going to do anything. Okay, we're going to let it play out, right? Again, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And fast forward, again, he has egg on his face because she's been exposed. You know, it's just funny how that works. Again, this woman is such an embarrassment that even CNN is viciously, and this is not an exaggeration, they are viciously roasting her for being bad at her job, for being so incompetent that she made mistakes that a first-year prosecutor, again, should be embarrassed about. According to CNN's legal analyst, Eli Honig, who, again, absolutely destroys Fani Willis and Nathan Wade as well, too, because clearly and obviously, this guy and her, they're in over their skis, right? It's embarrassing. It is humiliating. Take a look.
Right. So, Jake, the very fundamental purpose of an indictment is to serve notice, to notify the defendant, here's what you are charged with doing that was illegal. And in this case, the 6 charges, they all relate to a sort of unusual Georgia law that makes it a crime to ask a public official to violate his oath of office. The way those charges are charged in the indictment here, it says, well, the defendants tried to get certain Georgia public officials to violate the Constitution. And the judge said that's not specific enough because there are dozens, if not hundreds, of separate provisions in the Constitution. So you haven't adequately informed the defendants what actual crime they're specifically being charged with. That's why the judge threw out those six counts.
Could they have been written in such a way that they would have stood this test?
Absolutely, and quite easily. Prosecutors could have written that the crime here was soliciting a public official to violate the Constitution. Specifically, for example, and I think if they try to go back and fix this, they will say something like, specifically the equal rights, equal protection provisions of the Constitution, the provisions of the Constitution that ensure a person's right to vote and to have that vote be counted. They haven't specified that, and it's their job as prosecutors, fundamental job, to inform the defendants of what the charges are. That's the failure here.
So is it just bad lawyering? I don't understand.
It is bad lawyering. That's exactly what it is. And this is why I respectfully disagree with your guests from the last hour who said, well, it's no big deal. It is true that this dismissal will not change the broad contours of the case, will not really change the evidence that prosecutors can use. But the DA's office, prosecutors, they're the ones who control the indictment. They're the ones who draft it. The DA's office is the one who's been telling us this is the most important indictment we've ever seen. This indictment will vindicate the cause of democracy, yet they make an amateurish error like this, an unforced error that's entirely on them. And I think it undermines their credibility, their competency, and the seriousness of this office.
It's also weird because you would think that there are any number of liberal or conservative judges, attorneys, Michael Lutig, for one, who would be willing to take a look at something like this and just give them an extra set of eyes, do a little editing, as it were, right? I mean, do prosecutors ever do that?
Oh, my gosh, there's always a chain of command here, Jake. And this is the kind of mistake that if a first-year prosecutor made, you'd say, OK, we need to do better next time, but let's not let it happen again. And I want to make this point, Jake. One of the issues in the other conflict here, the conflict of interest case, is that Fani Willis brought in Nathan Wade to lead this case, even though Nathan Wade has never prosecuted a felony trial as a prosecutor. Well, this is a rookie mistake, and it's not a mistake that anyone who has any real experience would ever make.
Wow. Wow. Again, embarrassing, humiliating, okay? I mean, I think all these people know that Fani Willis is in over her head, okay? It's an embarrassment, okay? She really is. She's making mistakes that rookies make. But again, this is what happens when you hire somebody that's not qualified, and then you pay him more than the people that are actually qualified to do the job, right? These are the type of mistakes that are made. Again, this is humiliating, okay? And see, this is why, like, low-key, I've come to respect Mr. Eli Honig, okay? Not because he says things that I necessarily like all the time, but he has proved himself to be very fair and balanced in regards to how he looks at these issues. And that's something I picked up just listening to the guy and covering a lot of his segments. He is actually a pretty fair and balanced legal analyst on CNN. So I actually kind of respect him from a certain perspective, in the sense that I know I'm not getting any bias from him, right? He's just straight up giving his real opinion, whether I like it or not, okay? And I'm not really in a position to agree or disagree with him because I'm not a lawyer, okay? But again, if he's saying that, right, and he acknowledged that, the person in your last segment, I just disagree with that guy. I mean, they all know that this woman she's in over her head. I mean, listen, all these people are the same people that were trying to tell you that, these convictions that Fani Willis got at the beginning of this case, when this stuff first started, the trials and stuff, like Jenna Ellis and Cheeseborough, like those guys, they're not real convictions, okay? All they got to do is just serve their probation and don't commit any more crimes. Just don't do anything else. And their records are basically going to be erased, right? It's going to be as if they committed no crimes at all. Okay, so she doesn't even have any real convictions. Like the convictions that she does have, they're not real convictions. Okay, like they're all gonna get cleared up. So I think the case is weak. I think all these lawyers know that the case is weak. They just can't say it out loud. Okay, and they are afraid of being called racist and smeared as bigots for coming out here and stating the obvious about Fani Willis, which is that this case is weak, she's in over her head, and she's not qualified, right? And clearly and obviously, there's a conflict of interest going on here, okay? But we'll see what the judge will do, right? I mean, I personally think that there's no way that you can trust the justice system in Fulton County, considering all of the things that have been accused against Miss Fani Willis, okay? You just can't. So I don't understand how she can stay on the case, but even if she did stay on the case, she's so incompetent that it might actually work out in the best interest of Trump in the long term. So either way, I'm not going to be too mad. I'm going to be, happy if she gets removed, okay, because that means that the whole case might fall apart. But if she stays, I'm not going to be too upset because she's shown to be extremely incompetent. So, I mean, that actually might really play into Trump's favor. So with that being said, incompetent Fani Willis apparently is not sending the right paperwork or sufficient paperwork to Congress in response to a subpoena from Jim Jordan, who has subpoenaed her over these bombshell whistleblower allegations of misuse of taxpayer funds. Okay, we covered this story before about how a whistleblower came out and exposed Fani Willis misusing taxpayer funds or her office misusing federal taxpayer funds and then firing the whistleblower because of it. Now, Jim Jordan had subpoenaed Fani Willis, right? He's asking for more information, some documents, and she's not complying. And now Jim Jordan is sending a final warning shot to Miss Fani Willis and threatening her, saying that, hey, we're going to hold you in contempt of Congress if you don't turn over the documents that have been requested by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee. So let's go ahead and get into this.
Well, we begin tonight. Comply or be held in contempt. That is the threat by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee in a letter to Fulton County DA Fani Willis. Good evening. I'm Russ Spencer in for Tom Haynes.
I'm Courtney Bryant. This letter comes as Republican committee members claim Willis has failed to send documents subpoenaed as they investigate allegations that she mishandled government funds. Fox News' Eric Perry is live outside the Fulton County Courthouse with the latest tonight. Eric?
Yeah, Courtney, Russ, this is also coming as we await a decision by Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee on if Willis will stay on the Fulton County, Georgia interference election case there. So this is a different investigation out of Washington as this committee is looking into allegations that she mishandled federal funds.
All options are on the table, but I expect her to comply.
U.S. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan says Fulton County lead prosecutor Fani Willis has one last chance to submit documents requested or further action will be taken. The committee is looking into allegations of misuse of federal money during the Georgia election interference case investigation.
On all the communications, we got very little from her when we sent the subpoena, so we want the communications both internal and any communications you may have had with the federal government, particularly the Justice Department, regarding these grant dollars.
In a 3-page letter sent Thursday, the committee acknowledges the DA's office sent what they call a narrow set of documents, but they say it's not enough.
A whistleblower has come forward and says she's not just got this ridiculous lawsuit going, but it looks like she also mismanaged, mishandled, misspent, allegedly misspent federal grant dollars.
Jordan claims Willis fired the whistleblower when they tried to stop the DA's office from using the federal money for other purposes like travel, computers, and swag. The DA denies those claims. The letter gives Willis and her office until noon on March 28th to comply.
Any and all communications with the Department of Justice relative to the grant, the application, and receipt of the money, and then maybe more importantly, internal communications at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office on how they were going to spend that money.
I asked Jordan if this move is politically motivated.
I say Fani Willis's attack on President Trump is politically motivated. I mean, this is a ridiculous action in and of itself. But our focus and in Congress is to do oversight of the use of federal funds, particularly funds that are coming from the Department of Justice.
And that's also a ridiculous question, right? I mean, only a guy like this, right? Who clearly and obviously we know this guy's political leanings. I mean, come on. right? We all know where this guy is leaning politically. Okay, only a guy like this would ask such a question. Is this politically motivated? No, it's not politically motivated. We have a whistleblower that came out and said that this woman is misusing federal taxpayer dollars. Okay, there's nothing political about investigating that, right? I mean, you're talking about just holding her accountable for misuse of taxpayer funds. Okay, so apparently, Miss Fani Willis didn't turn over documents that were sufficient enough to meet the standards of what they want for the subpoena. And Jim Jordan saying, look, you got to this long to actually comply. If you don't comply, then we're going to hold you in contempt of Congress. Now, if she actually gets held in contempt of Congress, she can go to jail, right? She could actually go to prison if, she's held to the same standards that they hold Republicans or Trump allies to, right? Like, for example, Peter Navarro, that guy is most likely going to prison for contempt of Congress. But yet, Democrats seem to get away with this stuff all the time. But again, if she's actually held to the same standard they hold, Republicans and Trump allies to, yeah, she can go to jail. She can go to prison over this. Okay, so she better turn over these documents. But who knows? Maybe she doesn't have the ability, the capabilities of actually complying with the subpoena because she's that incompetent, right? Apparently, again, she's so incompetent that she makes a mistake that a rookie would make when it comes to trying to actually charge Trump with a crime. Maybe she just doesn't have the ability to comply with this. I don't know, right? I mean, this is just all around humiliating and embarrassing.
Department of Justice.
Yeah, and back out here live, we have reached out to the district attorney for comment. We're waiting to hear back. They did comment earlier, though, on the termination of that whistleblower. They say they have just cause for that. We are 2 weeks away from that deadline, so it'll be very interesting, and we'll be watching to see if the office will comply. At the Fulton County Courthouse, Amir Perry.
Honestly, I think it's a toss-up. I mean, clearly and obviously, this woman thinks she's above the law, right? So she probably thinks that I don't need to comply. I'm a black woman, right? If they actually try to hold me in contempt, I'm just gonna boohoo, whine, and cry racism. That's what she'll do. And we know the playbook. But again, the walls seem to be closing in on her. Okay, and I hope that Jim Jordan definitely tries to punish her to the full extent of the law. He doesn't let her off if she decides to snub her nose at his subpoena, right? You got to show that no, you're not above the law, and make an example out of her. Okay. Because, I mean, I think it would just be unwise for her to create more issues for herself, considering all the issues that she currently has. But who knows? Her turning over the right information probably is incriminating, right? She doesn't want to turn over the incriminating evidence, okay, that could possibly lead to her facing some charges for misuse of taxpayer funds, okay? So, again, Fani Willis is getting hit from all sides here. Right? And, it's very fascinating and entertaining to watch the walls close in on her. We will see what happens tomorrow with the judge. I think either way, if she's disqualified, I will be happy because the whole case may fall apart. But then again, if she stays on the case, it ain't the end of the world because she appears to be so incompetent that maybe, just maybe, this will work out in Trump's favor, especially if he's found not guilty because, Fani Willis, or partly because Fani Willis is so incompetent that she can't even try the case effectively. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.